I would tell you that I have been so excited to have this interview that my hair fell out actually while I was waiting for it. And I didn't just say that to everybody. I mean that.
Oh, wow. Well,
So
I feel very privileged and honored to be here then.
Well, let me start by saying it is an honor and a privilege to have you here as well. And so I would just jump right into it. Before I ask you to kind of formally introduce yourself, I think what I would ask you is kind of what's your origin story if you were a kind of Cardano superhero? What would your background be and your origin story? How did you first get involved in all this?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, thanks for having me on, Joe. And my origin story is maybe a little different to other people's. I used to work in digital innovation for the UK government, running large-scale industrial innovation programs that funded a lot of R&D in the digital economy. And in 2013, I read a paper about blockchain technology that one of my colleagues had produced, and it talked about all of the potential emerging use cases and applications for blockchain technology, how it was going to be the next paradigm shift in digital and the world of the internet. And I was very excited then. It also identified some of the problems and the flaws in the technology and the state of the art, which was around scalability, security, and privacy. And so, to cut a long story short, I was looking for a solution to that. And for a number of years, I was traveling between the UK and Japan almost every single year for both business and pleasure. And in 2016, I was made aware of a project called Cardano that was seeking to be the Japanese Ethereum. And Ethereum at the time was the leading project that had brought smart contract technology to bear. However, there was a number of scalability issues that had been plaguing the Ethereum ecosystem, whether it was issues around speed or cost or security for that matter. And so when I saw something by the name of the Japanese Ethereum with my Japanese roots and ties, it really piqued my interest. And so, I started going down the line of understanding a bit more about that project, understanding more about the people that are involved in that project. And I could see that there was a really significant amount of academic and both cryptography academia and computer science academia that was supporting the project, or that were a part of the company that was behind Cardano, or certainly the software development component of Cardano. And so from that point on, I was kind of hooked. Before I'd watched any of the content that was online that was coming out from Charles Hoskinson, our founder at Input Output, I was watching whiteboard videos of the cryptographers diving into the detail around random number generation and how to produce online casinos that were verifiably secure and could not be gamed. And I figured, back in 2016, this is like, 7 years ago, near enough, 6-7 years ago, that if there were academics and cryptographers that were looking at these problems so concertedly before any of the infrastructure had really been built out, that these people were worthwhile keeping a close eye on. So that was my origin story. I was very much in the shadows. I was lurking in the background for many, many years. I was spiritually invested early on, shall we say. And when the opportunity came to work with Cardano as part of a team member at Input Output, I jumped at the chance.
Yeah, and that brings me right into my next question, because you've come quite a long way from lurking. A lot of things have happened in between, going from someone who, as you said, just was aware of Cardano to who you are and what you're doing now. So what I would ask you, if you don't mind, please tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So I'm one of the product management on Project Catalyst, which is Cardano's decentralized innovation fund, and shaping up to be the world's largest decentralized innovation fund, where our primary activity is to have the community propose and then evaluate and vote on R&D proposals and projects that help to grow the capabilities of Cardano, and the funding comes from Cardano's treasury. So every time a transaction is made on the Cardano blockchain, a real small slice of that transaction fee goes into the treasury pot. So the more use that the blockchain has, the more resources there are available to reinvest into community projects. And so the Project Catalyst is a combination of a technology and a governance product that also bolts on an innovation program that helps to get a lot of great ideas funded and turn great ideas from concepts through to commercialization.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with Project Catalyst, as you may know, because Project Catalyst is the thing that connected me with the Cardano community here in Japan, in Tokyo, and in all of Japan. And, it's what connected myself to you as well. And it's funny because, I've gone from watching you speak in the town halls and having those presentations, and now here I am communicating with you one-on-one. I'm a bit nervous. I don't know if I'm showing it, but it's great. But that is probably the coolest thing that's really come out of my participation in the Cardano community is all the people that it's connected me with, especially here in Japan. I didn't know that all of these cool things were happening, especially in terms of art and NFTs, especially in Japan. The Cardano NFT movement is just getting more and more traction every day, and people are doing cool stuff with anime and the manga themes and stuff. So what I would ask you is, do you have a kind of favorite memory or kind of coolest thing that's happened to you since you've gotten involved with all these projects and all these individuals here in the Cardano world?
Yeah, I guess it's really difficult to pick one moment. So I'm going to try and paraphrase a couple for the audience. First of all, I think there's one of the coolest things about what we're doing within Catalyst is we're really enabling and empowering people to take an active role in decision making. I often say to people that ask me what my job is, maybe down the pub whilst we're having a drink or two or a cup of tea, and I get asked, what is it I do for a living? I go back with a question, which is, if you were able to play more of an active role in deciding how money or resources were spent on causes that you care about or within your community, would you want to play a role in helping to make those decisions?
Of course.
I think everybody says yes, right? And we live in this world today where we now have the technical capabilities for us to be able to play more of an active role, but we don't have much opportunity to actually, apply this, right? We don't play that much of a role in most democracies and governments anyway, of being able to voice how we want to see resources spent, other than delegating our voting and power and our opinions to elected representatives. What Catalyst enables is people to play and participate in this role of decision making and seeing how the future could be, right? I imagine a world in 10 years' time where, voting on causes that you care about is as commonplace as posting a photo to a social media network of what your breakfast or your dinner looks like, right? I can see it becoming more and more commonplace. And I use that as a really, really, really sort of ridiculous analogy, but I think we're sick and tired of seeing just banal content being posted. Actually, I think a lot of people care about participating in more meaningful ways in society. So the coolest thing on that front is just being able to enable and give people the tools and the confidence to be able to play more of an active role. The second point I wanted to talk about is, it is just sort of, as you mentioned, Joe, you've come into the Catalyst and the Cardano community and then just met a great amount of creative people that have great vision, a lot of ambition. They see the sort of enabling qualities of blockchain and they want to make a difference. And, that's the other coolest part for me. When we were at Consensus this year, which is one of the world's biggest crypto and blockchain conferences, Cardano had a really big stand there. So I was very fortunate to be part of the team that went. And just the amount of people that I met from our community that I've only ever met digitally in 2D through a screen, and I'm being able to meet them face to face. And, that's just the people that I already knew, not discounting all of the other community members that I hadn't yet met that were also doing great things, either on the sidelines or, just didn't happen to be part of Catalyst at this point, but were so positive and so complimentary about the work practices and the ethics and the values and the vision of input-output as a company, helping to develop the technology. But ultimately, Cardano is about handing this technology and this infrastructure over to the community. And so for all of those people that are super complimentary about the work that we do at Input Output, I also believe that, there's a lot of greatness that is still to come from the community, and they're going to be even more empowered with more ways of being able to participate in controlling the direction of travel and the future of Cardano in years to come.
That's awesome. I had the opportunity to go to a blockchain expo in Tokyo as well. And like you said, I had the opportunity to participate in the Cardano booth. And there was a lot of people I had only met online before, and getting to see them. I don't know if anyone still says IRL, or if that's an old World of Warcraft term, meeting my friends IRL. But it was great, talking to people that I felt like I was already connected with. And it was, it's cool just to be able to participate in that. And as that community kind of grows, and like you said, giving the tools and giving the technology to that community to run with it towards this future, I want to ask, what does that future kind of look like for not just Project Catalyst, but for Cardano as a whole? Like as those things continue to move forward, what does that kind of future look like? Or at least how do you hope it will look?
It's a good question. The truth of the matter is, I don't know what the future really holds. I can give some ideas and thoughts and feelings about where I'd like to see it go. I think, just generally in the world today, we don't have enough transparency in different levels of authority, whether it's, in the businesses that we spend our hard-earned cash with and the products that we buy. We don't really know that maybe the products are sustainably sourced, or, for all of the efforts towards environmental and sustainable development goals, there's really very little way of being able to say that this particular organization really did what they say they were going to do, and it is immutably and transparently able to be verified, right, and checked. And so, I think that's where we see some of the benefits of blockchain technology is it has the potential to really open up data to becoming more transparent. I think one of the causes that I'm most passionate about or impassioned by is this idea of self-sovereign identity. Like, I believe that I need to be the owner of all of my data, and I need to have guardrails in place that prevent my data from being able to be used and leaked and manipulated by organizations that, if I understood how they were using my data, there's no way that I would consent to it. Yeah. And the best way to be able to tackle that is to allow them the facility to make use of that data in the first place. I want to be able to own my health records. I want to know that my education records or anything that's related to my digital footprint is owned by me. And then I want to be able to give permissions for organizations or other sorts of entities to be able to make use of it. Again, that's where I sort of see some of the future of blockchain heading towards. Obviously, there's the enabling qualities that microfinance and DeFi and RealFi are going to bring to many, many millions of people, just by being able to provide them access to resources and products from financial services that they just weren't able to make use of before, particularly in emerging economies or developing economies. But yeah, I mean, there are so many great companies and great founders and visionaries that are only really scratching the surface on what the potential for this technology could be. In regards to Project Catalyst, I think, yeah, there's layers to this again, right? So we ultimately want to empower the Cardano community to be, self-sufficient, to be capable of being the stewards of the treasury and custodians of the treasury themselves. So we, as input-output, hand over those reins to the wider community of stakeholders involved in Cardano. And then, I certainly would love to see more adoption of this type of innovation engine. So, if we can think of the Cardano treasury as almost like the first proof of concept, the first pilot of this type of approach, or one of the first pilots of this type of approach, I'd like to see this proliferate. I'd like to see, businesses adopt this approach, local governments adopt this approach, governments adopt this approach. Yeah. We want to create infrastructure that enables the people to retain the power and to have the voice and the share of voice that helps to make real change in their own communities and their own local regions.
It's powerful stuff, sir. It's powerful. For my last question for you, I want to bring it back to the lurkers, if I could. The people who are passively aware of crypto. They kind of know about Cardano, but they're lurking. And this powerful discussion that we just had, it might be a little heavy for them because they're still lurking. They don't know necessarily everything that somebody who's actively involved in the community might know. So if you had the opportunity to talk to any lurker or yourself when you were one, just somebody who's like, kind of, what is this Cardano stuff all about? What would you say to somebody like that, where they kind of, yeah, I know what it is, maybe, but I'm a little hesitant to kind of get involved in some kind of meaningful way? What would you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think it depends on, what interests do you have within this space. If it's a purely speculative investment opportunity that you sort of see, much as it is with most people getting into cryptocurrency, sure. Then, being aware that there are projects that are very, very well resourced with some of the brightest minds on the planet working towards creating solid and sustainable, secure and long-lasting products is something that I would encourage people to be aware of. And then, diving into some of the the literature or the content, right? You don't, if your interest is beyond cryptocurrency and beyond investing, there is so much content out there, and whether it's not about Cardano or other projects and what blockchain is all about, that you could get reasonably up to speed pretty quickly. I would always say, for someone that's very interested in learning why Cardano differentiates to other blockchain or crypto projects, you only need to look at, I guess, Charles Hoskinson's LSE video, or if you've got the time, dive into the Lex Friedman podcast, a 5-hour opus about what this technology is all about and all of its enabling qualities. I know you've watched it, Joe.
I have, yeah. It's a phenomenal 5 hours.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the sort of thing that it might take you a couple of weeks to get through, but that's a really quite passive way to understand where the potential direction of travel for this type of technology is going, and also get acquainted with, as I said, Input Output CEO and founder, and his vision and values and philosophy around why this is such a game-changing innovation.
It's fantastic. Kriss Baird, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your enthusiasm. I appreciate everything you do. And I will see you, of course, in the town halls, but I do hope I will see you in Tokyo soon.
Yeah, with all the willing in the world, I can't wait until I'm back in Tokyo and able to enjoy everything that Japan has to offer, whether it's in Tokyo or outside of the city.
And we will be happy to welcome you here. Thank you very much for your time today, sir.
Ganbatte ne.